Reported a little earlier, a UN school was hit a bit earlier on Tuesday. It was being used to house Gazan refugees. A little earlier, our correspondent Alan Fisher spoke to Captain Doron Spielman of the Israeli army, asked him about that incident.
The killing or the targeting of civilians is never justifiable. And of course, we're not targeting civilians. We also know there was a loss of Israeli troops last night, and that loss was caused also because the difficulty in operating in an area where Hamas are shooting rockets from civilian populations. The basis and root of the problem behind this war is that the attack on the Israeli civilian population is coming from militants who have embedded themselves in the civilian population. We're trying to respond, but we have to understand, this is a war, this is a battle. In a battle, nothing is 100%. There are civilian casualties, and the key to stopping those civilian casualties is stopping the blood-wrenching that Hamas is inflicting both on Palestinians and Israelis.
Captain, it's a school that's being used as a UN shelter.
Yes.
This is a UN building. Isn't that a breach of international law? Haven't you just committed an act of a breach of international law?
This is, in fact, we did not target this UN building, which is why it's upholding international law. No country can post a record like Israel in terms of keeping civilian casualties out of the picture in an urban warfare where the enemy's embedded themselves and is shooting rockets from these areas. We have to understand, this is a con game. This is a con game being carried out by Hamas. They're shooting at us from civilian centers, and when we respond in the air of civilian centers, they say, oh, breach of international law. The breach occurred 11 days ago when the rockets intensified over the Israeli population, when we decided to come into Gaza to prevent years and years of squandering the rights of the Israeli civilian population. The end to this is in the hands of Hamas.
Captain, there'll be people watching this saying, how often will the Israelis use the "we weren't targeting them" to justify the death of now hundreds of civilians? The United Nations says of the more than 500 that have been killed, 20% are women and children. That's more than 100 innocent victims here.
I'm a father. The death of a civilian, I look at the men and women, I look at the children, I think of my own family. Israelis, we're a small country, we value our own life, and we value